The year is 2025, the world is a different place. And the hottest new trend isn't TikTok dances, it's tariffs. Yes, those dusty old relics of economic warfare are back. In March 2025, the Trump administration slapped a 25% tariff on imported aluminum. The goal? To protect American jobs and boost domestic production. But here's the thing about tariffs. They come with consequences, unintended or otherwise. So buckle up because we're about to dive deep into the world of aluminum tariffs. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of tariffs, let's talk about aluminum. We're talking about the third most abundant element on Earth, a metal so versatile it's practically a superhero. It's lightweight, strong, and infinitely recyclable. It's the backbone of industries ranging from aerospace to construction to, yes, even beer cans. Think about it. You wake up, grab a soda from the fridge, aluminum can, you hop in your car, a marvel of modern engineering that relies heavily on aluminum components. Aluminum is everywhere, silently shaping our world. But here's the catch. Producing aluminum is no walk in the park. It's an energy-intensive process that requires massive amounts of electricity. Enter the tariffs. By slapping a 25% tax on imported aluminum, the government hoped to incentivize domestic production and bring back those coveted manufacturing jobs. The law of unintended consequences is a harsh mistress, especially in the world of economics. The aluminum tariffs are a prime example of this principle in action. While they were intended to protect American jobs and boost domestic production, they've also unleashed a wave of unintended consequences. Higher aluminum prices mean higher production costs, which often get passed down to consumers in the form of higher prices. It's a vicious cycle that can lead to inflation and economic instability. The aluminum tariffs have also sparked retaliation from trading partners, leading to tit-for-tat tariff wars. Economic policy is rarely simple or straightforward. Remember that superhero metal we talked about? Well, it turns out even superheroes have a weakness. And for aluminum, that weakness is tariffs. Because when the price of aluminum goes up, it's not just the metal that feels the heat. It's entire industries that rely on aluminum to make their products. Companies like Ford, Coca-Cola, and Lockheed Martin are caught in a bind, forced to choose between absorbing the higher costs or passing them on to consumers. Smaller businesses, from breweries to construction companies, are also grappling with the rising cost of aluminum. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that in the interconnected web of the global economy, what happens in Washington doesn't stay in Washington. It reverberates across industries, impacting businesses both big and small. Alcoa's dilemma, a case study in tariff troubles. Let's zoom in on one company caught in the crosshairs of the aluminum tariff saga, Alcoa. This American industrial giant, once synonymous with aluminum production, has had a complicated relationship with tariffs. Producing aluminum in the United States requires a lot of electricity, which isn't always cheap. So, while tariffs might make imported aluminum more expensive, they also create an incentive for domestic producers like Alcoa to ramp up production. But ramping up production means using more electricity, which can drive up energy costs for everyone. Alcoa's dilemma highlights the complex and often contradictory effects of tariffs. From F-150S to soda cans, the ripple effect widens. The impact of the aluminum tariffs doesn't stop at the factory gates. It ripples outward, touching everything from the cars we drive to the beverages we drink. Aluminum is a key component in cars, used in everything from body panels to engine parts, so when the price of aluminum goes up, it costs Ford more to build those F-150S. And what do you think happens next? Those higher costs get passed along to consumers in the form of higher sticker prices. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that in our interconnected global economy, there's no such thing as a free lunch. The price of protectionism, consumers feeling the pinch. In the case of the aluminum tariffs, it means higher prices on a wide range of goods. It means feeling the pinch at the checkout counter, whether you're buying a new car, a six-pack of soda, or a case of beer. For many families already struggling to make ends meet, these price hikes can be tough to swallow. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that economic policy isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about people's lives and the choices they have to make every day. The energy quandary: powering up domestic aluminum production. Making aluminum requires a Herculean amount of electricity, and getting that electricity isn't as simple as plugging into a wall socket. The cheapest and most abundant source of electricity often comes from fossil fuels, and burning fossil fuels releases greenhouse gases that contribute to climate change. Some might argue that we can just switch to renewable energy sources like solar and wind, but building out renewable energy infrastructure takes time, money, and a whole lot of political will. The push for domestic aluminum production presents a real energy quandary. Time is money, and aluminum wants a lot of both. Building out domestic aluminum production isn't a quick fix. It's a long, slow, and expensive process. Building a new smelter takes years and billions of dollars in investment, and that's assuming you can even find a location that meets all the environmental regulations and has access to a reliable and affordable source of electricity. Then there's the issue of skilled labor. Finding enough skilled workers to staff these new facilities is no easy feat. The idea of bringing back aluminum production to the US might sound appealing in theory, but the reality is much more complicated. The environmental cost of aluminum dreams. While aluminum itself is infinitely recyclable, the process of making new aluminum from scratch is rough on Mother Nature. Producing aluminum is energy-intensive and often relies on fossil fuels, releasing greenhouse gases. The process of mining bauxite, the ore that aluminum is made from, can also have significant environmental impacts. Think deforestation, habitat loss, and the release of harmful pollutants into the air and water. Boosting domestic aluminum production might sound like a win for American jobs and industry, but it's crucial to consider the environmental costs involved. If we're not careful, the pursuit of aluminum dreams could end up turning into an environmental nightmare. A global game of Jenga, the unpredictable nature of trade wars. Tariffs are more like a sledgehammer in a china shop, capable of causing unintended damage far beyond their intended target. The aluminum tariffs have sparked retaliation from trading partners, leading to tit-for-tat tariff wars. This creates a ripple effect across the global economy, disrupting supply chains and increasing prices for consumers. It's like a giant game of Jenga where each tariff is like pulling out a block, making the whole structure more unstable. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that we live in an interconnected world. While the goal of protecting domestic industries is understandable, resorting to tariffs as a solution can often do more harm than good. Section 1. Bringing the metal home, the high cost of repatriating automotive manufacturing. Remember that shiny new Ford F-150 we talked about earlier? The one that's now more expensive thanks to aluminum tariffs? Well, it turns out the story of that truck is a microcosm of a much larger issue: the complex and costly dance of repatriating automotive manufacturing. For decades, the global auto industry has operated like a well-oiled machine, with parts and components crisscrossing borders in a carefully choreographed ballet of supply and demand. But tariffs throw a wrench into the gears of this globalized system, making it more expensive to source materials and build cars outside of their intended markets. So, the thinking goes, why not just bring all that manufacturing back home? Create jobs, boost the economy, and keep those assembly lines humming with American-made pride. Sounds good on a bumper sticker, right? But like most things in life, the devil is in the details. Because repatriating automotive manufacturing isn't as simple as flipping a switch. It requires massive investments in infrastructure, workforce training, and technological upgrades. And those investments come with a hefty price tag, one that's ultimately passed down to consumers in the form of higher vehicle prices and potentially fewer choices. Section 2. The Assembly Line's Balancing Act, Weighing Costs and Choices. Imagine you're an automaker, carefully balancing the books and trying to squeeze every penny of profit out of each vehicle you sell. Now imagine the government throws a curveball your way in the form of tariffs, making it more expensive to import key materials like aluminum. What do? You could try to absorb those higher costs yourself, taking a hit to your profit margins in the hope that the tariffs are temporary, or that consumers won't balk at slightly higher prices. But that's a risky gamble, especially in the fiercely competitive auto industry. Another option is to pass those higher costs along to consumers by raising vehicle prices, but that's a delicate dance as well. Raise prices too high and you risk losing market share to competitors who are either more willing to absorb the costs, or who have found ways to source their materials more cheaply. The reality is, there's no easy answer for automakers caught in the crosshairs of the aluminum tariff debate. It's a constant balancing act, weighing the costs and benefits of different strategies, and trying to anticipate how these complex economic policies will ultimately play out in the marketplace. Section 3, Fewer Models, Higher Prices, the Consumer Conundrum. Aluminum tariffs impact industries and manufacturers. But what about consumers? They face fewer models and higher prices. Tariffs could lead to fewer models and higher prices. Automakers might cut models or raise prices, consumers get less choice and higher costs. Section 4. CNBC's crystal ball predicting the price tag of protectionism. When it comes to predicting the economic impact of complex policies like tariffs, it's always helpful to turn to the experts. And in the world of business and finance, few names carry as much weight as CNBC. This cable news giant, known for its in-depth analysis and market-moving insights, has been closely following the aluminum tariff saga, crunching the numbers and consulting with industry insiders to assess the potential fallout, and the outlook isn't exactly rosy. CNBC analysts predict that the aluminum tariffs could add thousands of dollars to the price of new vehicles, particularly those that rely heavily on aluminum components, like SUVs and pickup trucks. But it's not just the sticker price that consumers need to worry about. CNBC also warns that the tariffs could lead to higher interest rates on auto loans, as lenders factor in the increased risk associated with more expensive vehicles. So while the aluminum tariffs might have been intended to boost domestic industry and bring back manufacturing jobs, CNBC's analysis suggests that consumers could end up paying a steep price for this protectionist approach, both at the dealership and in the long run. Section 1. The Aluminum Effect, CNBC's model-by-model breakdown. Hold on to your hats, car shoppers, because things are about to get real specific. CNBC, never one to shy away from a deep dive, has done the dirty work of analyzing the aluminum tariff's impact on individual car models. And let's just say, if you're in the market for a new ride, you might want to brace yourself for some sticker shock. Take the Ford F-150, America's perennial best-selling vehicle and a poster child for aluminum construction. CNBC estimates that the tariffs could add upwards of $2,000 to the price of a new F-150. That's right, $2,000 just for the privilege of driving a truck made with slightly more expensive metal. But it's not just Ford feeling the heat. CNBC's analysis extends to other popular models, like the Chevrolet Silverado, the Ram 1500, and even luxury SUVs like the Cadillac Escalade. Each one is projected to see a price bump thanks to those pesky aluminum tariffs. CNBC's model-by-model breakdown paints a stark picture of the tariff's potential impact on consumers. It's a reminder that these economic policies aren't just abstract concepts debated in boardrooms and halls of government. They have real-world consequences, often hitting consumers where it hurts most, their wallets. Beyond sticker shock, the hidden costs of tariffs. Tariffs can make that new car smell less appealing when you see the price tag, but the financial hit doesn't stop there. Tariffs are like an unwelcome house guest who eats all your snacks. Car loans could get more expensive too. Higher car prices make lenders nervous. They raise interest rates. So, you pay more for the car and the loan, all thanks to costly aluminum tariffs. And used car prices could rise too. Tariffs throw the whole system out of whack. The aluminum ripple impacts beyond the auto industry. You might be thinking, okay, so car prices are going up. Bummer, but I wasn't planning on buying a new car anyway. And hey, that's fair. But before you breathe a sigh of relief, remember those ripples we talked about? The ones that spread outward from the aluminum tariffs impacting industries far beyond the auto sector? Think about it. Aluminum is everywhere. It's in the cans that hold your favorite beverages, the siding on your house, the electronics you rely on every day. And when the price of aluminum goes up, those price hikes can trickle down to consumers in a myriad of ways. That six-pack of soda? Yep, probably going to cost a bit more. That new roof you're saving up for? You guessed it, those aluminum shingles just got pricier. Even the cost of a new smartphone could be affected by the rising price of aluminum, which is used in many electronic components. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that in our interconnected global economy, what happens in one industry doesn't stay in one industry. It's a chain reaction, a domino effect that can impact consumers in ways they might not even realize until they're staring at a higher price tag at the checkout counter. So here we are, at the intersection of economic policy, global trade, and the price of a new Ford F-150. It's enough to make your head spin, right? The aluminum tariffs, like many policy decisions, are a tangled web of competing interests, unintended consequences, and a whole lot of uncertainty. As consumers, we're often caught in the middle, left to navigate the fallout of these decisions without a seat at the negotiating table. We see the headlines, hear the talking heads debate the merits of free trade versus protectionism. But at the end of the day, it's our wallets that feel the impact. The aluminum tariffs are a stark reminder that economic policy is rarely simple or straightforward. What might seem like a good idea in theory, protecting domestic industries, creating jobs, can have far-reaching and often unintended consequences that ripple throughout the economy. As we move forward into this uncertain terrain of trade wars and protectionist policies, it's crucial for consumers to stay informed, ask questions, and make their voices heard. Because in the end, it's our choices, our spending habits, and our collective voice that will shape the future of the global economy. So, there you have it, the aluminum tariff saga, a tale of good intentions, unintended consequences, and the high cost of cheap metal. Tariffs can disrupt industries, impact consumers, and upend the global economy. They can create a ripple effect, touching everything from car prices to soda costs. The goal of protecting domestic industries is laudable, but it's crucial to consider the full spectrum of potential impacts. But the aluminum tariff saga isn't just a story about numbers on a spreadsheet or abstract economic theories. It's a story about people. It's about the factory worker in Ohio who's hoping to keep their job, the family in Michigan struggling to afford a new car, the small business owner in California grappling with rising costs. Economic uncertainty has a human cost. It can lead to anxiety, stress, and a sense of helplessness as individuals and families grapple with the fallout of policies made by governments and corporations far removed from their daily lives. It can erode trust in institutions, fuel social unrest, and create a climate of fear and insecurity. As we've seen throughout this exploration of the aluminum tariffs, the decisions made in corporate boardrooms and halls of government don't just impact balance sheets and stock prices. They have real-world consequences for real people, often those who are least equipped to weather the storm of economic uncertainty. It's easy to get lost in the weeds of economic jargon and policy debates. But it's important to remember that behind every statistic, every chart, every headline, there are human stories. Stories of struggle, resilience, hope, and despair. Stories that remind us that economic policy isn't just about numbers, it's about people. So where do we go from here? What can we do as individuals to navigate this complex and often unpredictable terrain of global trade, economic policy, and consumer choice? The first step is to stay informed. Read beyond the headlines, seek out diverse perspectives, and don't be afraid to ask questions. The second step is to make our voices heard. Contact your elected officials, engage in constructive dialogue, and advocate for policies that promote fairness, transparency, and sustainability. Remember, as consumers, we hold immense power. Our choices, our spending habits, and our collective voice can influence corporate behavior and shape government policy. The aluminum tariff saga is a wake-up call, a reminder that we're not just passive bystanders in the global economy. We're stakeholders, with a vested interest in creating a more just, equitable, and sustainable future for all. Let's use this moment, this opportunity, to demand better from our leaders, our corporations, and ourselves. Let's work together to build an economy that works for everyone, not just a select few. The road ahead may be long and winding, but by staying informed, raising our voices and making conscious choices, we can help steer the global economy in a more just and sustainable direction.